it's finally time to get the potatoes on the go. And in today's video, we're not just going to be drinking cups of coffee. I'll show you the different varieties of potatoes we're going to do. I've got some first earlies, some second earlies, and some main croppers to get on the go. We're going to do them in two different ways. Last year, I did the potatoes, I did them all in buckets. And the later ones, the main croppers, didn't quite work out so well. The early potatoes were brilliant, bloomin' marvellous. The first earlies, second earlies, great results. But those main crop ones that we did in the buckets were terrible. Last year's main croppers, King Edwards, Maris Pipers, so a couple of really good, strong varieties there, and they didn't do very well at all. So we're doing them a different way this year. So the early ones, first earlies, second earlies, we're still going in the buckets, but the main crops that we'll do in a bit outside, slightly different to what we normally do. Also, you might or might not have seen a video I did a while ago about trying to do my earliest ever first earlies, and we've got a little bit of an update on them. I'll show you how they're looking, and we'll let you decide as to whether you think that has been a good idea or not. We're still not out of the woods yet. We've still got another, I reckon, about another month round here of potential frost. So, you know, even though they might look all right, we're not quite there yet, but we'll see. I'll be keen to know your opinion anyway. But what we'll do, let me stop waffling on about them, and we'll have a look at some varieties that we're going to be getting on the go. These ones here, first early. Now I use these little these little egg boxes. There you go, you can see them there, and hopefully you can see these potatoes are looking absolutely marvellous in terms of the chits. Now this is a variety of first early called Casablanca, and these were from Grown Local. Now the second earlies that I'll show you in a minute as well, I don't know where Ian from Grown Local has got these potatoes from, but they have chitted beautifully, and they are ginormous seed potatoes as well. They're absolutely massive, so I'm hoping for some good results from these. But yeah, all my potatoes, all my seed potatoes sit in these little sort of egg containers, egg cartons, and they just sit on the windowsills in the house. The ones that don't get loads and loads of sunlight, or it's not sort of baking hot, where I've got the heating on the go all the time, just nice, warmish, coolish, not direct sunlight, and it brings them on beautifully. Next up, hopefully when I do the next second earlies after these, you'll see the difference between the ones that Ian gave me and the ones that have come from, I think these were B&M. So these are Charlotte, and you can see they're looking okay. Again, they have chitted beautifully on there, and they're looking fine. Not the biggest seed potatoes in the world, but hopefully we'll still get some good results from them. And the other one we've got here that I'm going to show you, these are the second earlies. A new variety to me this year called Wilja, or Vilja you might pronounce it, Wilja. But these are massive, look at them, they're ginormous, and the chits are absolutely wonderful on them. So I'm hoping for some really good results. And I'll do the main croppers when we're outside doing the main croppers. I'll tell you the varieties then, as and when we're doing it. We've got two different varieties there as well, both of which are new to me. And I'm thinking just the number of these I've got and the space I've got, and because of how big these Wilja are, I might do a row of these ones outside as well, but we'll see. Anyway, first things first, let me get cracking with some of the first early ones in the buckets, and we'll get them on the go. So if you've been around these parts for a while, you've probably seen me do these potato buckets any number of times. So this is going to be quick fire potato bucket planting. This time round, the compost we're using is spent compost. It is the same compost that I use for the potatoes every year. It just gets reused every time, gets a bit of nutrition added to it, saves having to spend loads of money on compost every year, and you generally get really good, unless it's me doing main crops in a bucket, you generally get really good, really tasty, really nice, good crop of potatoes. I'll put a link to these buckets in the description down below if you want to go and see them. They're 30-litre buckets. You generally buy them in packs of 10. But I've put some compost in there, in this empty bucket. It's maybe about, I don't know, a quarter to a third. Maybe it's just put a little bit more in the bottom there. And all I'm going to do is we're going to put a handful of fish blood and bone in there. This is what I was saying about spent compost and just adding a bit of nutrition. We've got this specific potato and vegetable fertilizer from Vitax. That is brilliant. Again, I'll stick a link in the description down below. We're going to give it a good mix in. I always, well, apart from that one thing, we'll not mention the peppers. I always mix in my fertiliser into the compost. We want it all spread about in there for the potatoes going in, because we don't want the potatoes sitting directly on that fertiliser. And if we use the handles as a guide, let's just say the top handle there, it's 12 o'clock, boom, in it goes. And I'm just going to be a little bit gentle. I'm going to take a handful of compost and just sprinkle it over the top of the potato, and that's just going to keep it held in place there whilst I chuck a load more compost on top of it. So it's not going to move, it's not going to get damaged, we know where it is. And I'm maybe going to put, what was that, 4 or 5 handfuls in there, so it's maybe filled it up another 3 or 4 inches on top of that. Another handful of the fish blood and bone, a sprinkle of the potato fertiliser, a little bit more gently this time because I'm conscious we've got that potato underneath with the chits on it. Just get that nutrition mixed in. And again, if that one was at 12 o'clock, this one here, we're probably going to go at about 4 or 5 o'clock, just in there, just to try and space them out in the buckets as much as we can. And I should mention actually that I usually put 3 seed potatoes, so I'll put 3 earlies in a bucket or 3 second earlies in a bucket. Over the years of doing them all in the buckets, I've found that 3 is about optimal. I think 2 isn't enough, and 4 you're almost getting a bit squashed in. I think things become a little bit tight. And again, that layer, get the nutrition back into the compost. And again, I'm not using loads and loads and loads of nutrition. So in terms of cost of doing this, yeah, there's a bit of an initial outlay on the buckets and on the compost itself. But I've been using these buckets and this compost probably for 4 or 5 years now, and you just keep using the same stuff. Yeah, every now and again, you've got to add a handful or 2 of fresh compost, because when you empty them out at the end of the season, you know, you lose bits of compost here, there and everywhere, which is just what happens. Now, that last seed potato that I've just put in there, it's probably at about sort of 8 or 9 o'clock in terms of our bucket, our clock, and where we've got it. And then we can just pile the rest of the compost, and you can see it there, a bit clumpy. Like I say, this is compost that's been used year after year after year. And the good thing is, when the potatoes grow, the potatoes break it all up again. They are great for breaking up soil, breaking up compost, anything like that. So let's just see if I can do this without making an absolute mess of it. And at the moment, this all looks lovely, and it's at about the right height. Now, some of the compost is wetter than others, but we'll see how it goes. Once it's been watered, I'll give it a little bit of water, not loads of water, just a little bit, because it is meant to be raining here over the next week, so I don't want to get absolutely soaked. So we'll see how they get on. But that level of compost in there, once it's been rained on, once it's been watered, once things have settled, it's only about, I don't know, maybe it's a centimetre or 2 off the top of the rim of the bucket. It will settle down, it will drop a little bit into the bucket. So again, we might have to top it up with just a handful or 2 of compost on the top. And the other thing, the last thing I must remember to do before we head outside is put a label in the bucket so I actually know what's in there. So this is where we're going to be doing the main crop potatoes. Now, this little sort of square of land that I've got here was 2 years ago. I had this all lovely, beautifully dug over to do parsnips in for the parsnip challenge on Potty Mouth, and failed pitifully. It was rubbish. It got covered up. I went in the huff with it, and I've done nothing with it since. So I thought, why not? Why not do the main croppers in it? Now, I do it a little bit differently. It's kind of traditional. It's kind of not. But we are going to use the same fertiliser. So just while I'm talking to you there about what I'm going to do here, this is the blood, fish and bone and the Vitax fertiliser, the potato one there that's just going in the bottom of the trench. And I have dug a little bit of a trench here. Now, the potatoes are going to go in kind of traditional sort of way. We've dug the trench, they're going to go in. What I don't do though is I don't mound up or hill up the potatoes. I usually just leave them to grow and do their own thing. I don't sort of mound them up, although the soil at the moment is mounded up to the sides. That's just where I've dug it out of the hole there. But just, it's probably about 10 inches deep, so it's deep enough, because like I say, we're not quite out of the risk of frost just yet. So we're planting these sort of you know, almost the middle of April, put them in there with all that earth on top of them. It'll protect them well enough. If any frost that does come along, the potatoes will be fine until the shores start growing around about the middle of May sort of time, which is when the risk of the frost should have passed. Now anyway, varieties. We've got two different varieties. I'm just going to show you the one trench here. I'm going to just rinse and repeat here. So this sort of size of space here that you can see on the camera there is just, I'm just going to do 2 rows in there. I don't want the main crops all squashed in. Right in front over there, right in front of where the camera is, there's another bit of land identical to this that some more seed potatoes are going to go in exactly the same way. But our varieties, this one here is one called Blue Annalise, and these were sent to us from Jenny, the Moorside gardener. Really appreciate this. First time trying this variety, so we're gonna give it a go. Exactly the same as the first and second Earlies. They've been chitting on the windowsills there in the house. I'm gonna put 3, so in this length of space you can see here, I'm gonna put 3 of the main crop seed potatoes. Again, the main crop has, could I fit 4 in there? Maybe, but learning from last year, from them being in the buckets, maybe it's being a bit squashed. Don't want them getting squashed. Want to give the main croppers plenty of space. And just like I did with the buckets, we're going to gently put, we're not going to put the stone in there. I'm just gently putting some of that soil that we dug out on and around, there's another stone there, on and around the seed potatoes, just to stop them getting knocked, stop getting the chits bashed off, because once that's done, all I can do is just fire, there's another stone, we'll not have that, fire all this earth back in there, back on top, and I will tidy this up. I'm just doing that little bit for the camera there. I'll tidy it up, it'll all get raked over, it'll get labelled up, and I'm just going to do exactly the same here, but we've got some different seed potatoes. This one here is Heidi Red. They're supposed to be absolutely brilliant. Never tried them before, first time trying them. Supposed to be a great main crop of seed potato, so looking forward to seeing how they're going to turn out. Anyway, potatoes, let me know in the comments down below which varieties you're doing this year. It always amazes me how many different varieties of these things there are. Every year there's new ones. Like I say, we're doing Heidi Red and Blue Annalise, which are new to me this year. We've got the old bog standard ones that we see knocking about, your Maris Pipers, your King Edwards, your Charlottes, which are absolutely rock solid. But let me know in the comments down below what varieties you're doing this year, because I always learn something new whenever I see that. So we've got them on the go here. We've got the ones in the ground, we've got the ones in the bucket. Traditionally, people say you should sow them around about Easter. Kind of. I mean, I'm more of the sort of, when you're doing this gardening palaver, you've got to get a bit of a feel for it. Just feel when's the right time to do it. Get a feel. You know, the last 2 weeks has been beautiful weather here. The ground has been warmed up nicely for the seed potatoes going in. They're down a good sort of 10 inches probably in the ground. So the next 2 weeks we've got some colder weather coming. They're going to be protected down there. They're going to be absolutely fine. So it was just about the right time. And again, let's be honest, Easter moves about every year. This year it's probably a bit warmer because Easter's a lot later in the year than it normally is. So just do what feels right for you. Anyway, even by my standards, it's about 9 o'clock in the morning here on Sunday. I've been here since 6 o'clock. I've done 2 videos. I've planted all my seed potatoes out. So I think that cup of coffee that I had before, I'm not going to go and finish it off, and I might even get my breakfast. Anyway, that's me done for today. Thank you for watching, folks, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.